How y'all doing this morning? I hope y'all are doing well. Now, let's talk a little Manny Pacquiao versus Errol Spence Jr. I know everybody's been jumping on this. I held off on it a little bit just to make sure no crazy stuff happened to where this fight isn't going to happen. But it seems like it's pretty much concrete that we're going to get this fight, which is great. Now, before I get into the fight, and this is just a little brief summary, I'm not going to really break down the fight until we get closer and do my predictions, but I want to say this. First and foremost, with Manny Pacquiao fighting Errol Spence Jr. and him being the champion in recess, I think that he should be reinstated his full title. That way this becomes a 3-belt unification match. I never understood why he got stripped of his title for Ugas. Ugas, who came up short at the welterweight division. I mean, hell, he came up short multiple times at the junior welterweight division. But I never understood why Manny was stripped, because in order to strip a fighter, you have to mandate them to fight somebody. If you never mandate them to fight somebody, then you can't really say they're holding up the division because they're not mandated to fight. Now, I could understand if Manny would have been mandated to fight Ugas and then Manny didn't fight him and they took his title. That's cool. But to just take it without any reasoning is ridiculous to me. And I don't care how long it's been since he fought, because here we are now 2 years later and he's getting there with arguably the number 1 or number 2 guy. So again, ridiculous. I would love to see him reinstated, get his title back, and then see this go to unification, because if he does beat Errol Spence Jr., then he would only have to have one more fight for the possibility to be undisputed before I guess he would retire. If he retires. At this point, Manny might be 90 years old before he retires. Who knows? Now, how do I look at this fight without really doing a real breakdown? I look at this as speed versus power. I believe even at Manny Pacquiao's older age that he is much faster than Errol Spence Jr. Now, I do believe Errol Spence hits harder, but I believe that when Errol Spence gets in there with guys who don't want to fight him, like say a Mikey Garcia, he has a lot of issues seeking and destroying because he's not the fastest on his feet. So therefore, if you can't catch somebody, you can't hit him. If you can't hit him, you can't knock him out. Errol Spence has never, in my opinion, been a Mike Tyson, Deontay Wilder style knockout artist, the way he's going to hit you once and put you away. His power comes from accumulation. They're hard shots, but they're not lights out shots per punch. So Errol Spence needs to be able to land more than one shot to really put fighters away, in my opinion, from what I have seen from him. So again, he's a hard puncher, but not really a one-punch knockout artist. However, Manny Pacquiao does not play keep away. He is going to play into Errol Spence Jr.'s strengths by coming straight towards him, because Manny fights. It's one thing about Manny. Manny will get in there and fight with you. Now, some people be like, well, what about the ring rust? Manny hasn't fought since 2019. Errol Spence just fought against Danny Garcia, so, he really doesn't have the ring rust. Well, here's what I look at. Manny is an older fighter, okay? Now, normally I would agree. You've heard me say before that, ring rust is real, and if they're not consistently fighting, then they might get in there and it might not just be their night because they're too out of sync. Their timing's off, everything else is off. But with a fighter of Manny's age, the time away may actually be better because it's less wear and tear on his body when he doesn't need to be having a lot of wear and tear. So in all actuality, time away for an older fighter may actually be better than it is staying consistent and not, fighting back to back. So he's had a 2-month break for his body to recover. And I don't think Manny ever truly gets out of shape. He's just not in fight competition shape, I would say. Because Manny always looks like he's in shape. He's always doing something, whether it's playing basketball. He's just always doing something. So I expect to see the very best Manny Pacquiao on the night that we could see given his age. And I also expect to see the very best Errol Spence Jr. that we could see, because whenever he got in there in his last fight, he didn't look like the accident really caused him any issues. That was the main concern for me, was how was it going to look after being flipped in a car and being induced into a coma? Is he going to be able to take the shots the same way? And he did. So overall, how I see it is you got two guys, I believe, that are going to come in at the best. Manny's going to come in the best that he can be at his age, and Errol's going to come in the best because he's proven that the car wreck, didn't affect him as badly as some may have thought it would have. So the keys to victory for both is this. Manny has got to use his speed. He cannot sit still. He cannot stay stagnant in front of Errol Spence Jr. and let Errol Spence get off combination shots. He could take a shot here, take a shot there, but he cannot start letting Errol Spence Jr. rack up the shots. As far as Errol Spence Jr. goes, his key to victory is he's got to land those shots. Now, he really needs to work on his footwork. He really needs to work on his angles, because Manny Pacquiao is going to attack him from angles that he's never been attacked from before. He's going to throw punches at angles that you wouldn't expect punches to come from. In other words, Manny can shift his body one way, but hit with the other hand and still find a way to generate just as much power as if he was shifting his weight into the punch. Manny is very good at this, and that's why so many fighters are like, he comes from weird angles, because the way he generates power is very rare, because you don't normally see guys go to the left and throw with their right. Like, normally you see him twisting off the left, coming with a hook, a left hook, a jab, whatever, twisting with the right and throwing a right hook, straight, uppercut, etc. With Manny, he'll twist to the left and let that right hand go and hit you just as hard as if he was twisting with the right. So that's the thing that Errol Spence has got to work on. He's really got to work on his angles. He's got to work on parrying. I think parrying is much better against Manny than it is slipping the punches, because even if you slip the punches, Manny's dancing around you. He's not staying in front of you to where slipping is as good. You slip under, come back with a shot. Manny's going to throw a shot and be around you. So if you're slipping with Manny, the way that he throws punches, he's already slipping with you. So he's already getting out of position for that slip to even counter. So I really think that trying to knock him off balance with a counter, throwing his hands to the side, then coming straight down the pipe at whatever angle he's coming from, you got to anticipate. In other words, kind of like shooting a gun. You got to lead the target when you're fighting Manny. You can't punch at him. You got to punch to where he's going. So Errol Spence in his training camp really needs to focus on punching moving targets and anticipating where that moving target is going to be when his punch is going to be there. You want to meet him. You don't want to punch at him. You want to meet him. So that's what I see with Errol Spence. He really needs to work on counter-punching, moving targets that are going to be coming from weird angles, whether it be from his left side, right side, damn near behind him, in front of him. He needs to be ready for that. He needs to be ready for a target that can back up, but throw a punch that's coming straight at him at the same time. Like I'm telling you, Manny's angles are insanity. The way that he generates power, insanity. But it's what makes him great. So that's what he really needs to work on, is the unorthodox style of how Manny actually throws punches. And he needs to stay away from doing straight lines going back. That's what happened to Keith Thurman, especially early in the fight. Errol Spence Jr. cannot afford to let his guard go down and back up in a straight line. Manny is extremely fast, and he will be on top of you with a 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 piece before you know what hits you if you back straight up and your guard drops. So those are the key things I see for both guys. For Manny, Manny's just got to be Manny and use his speed and not trade with him in the pocket, which I don't believe he will. And I really, truthfully, I'm not even going to lie, I think this is a 50-50 fight. I really do. The only thing that makes it not a 50-50 fight is if Manny has gotten old and he can't move the same. Watching Manny train, I don't foresee that. Now, as the rounds go on and you get later and later, deeper and deeper, that's when the older legs will really reveal themselves. But as far as coming into the fight early, I don't really see him being old overnight, and we won't really know till he gets in there. But again, assuming that Manny is the same that he was when he fought Thurman, I really believe it's a 50-50 fight because of his speed. I think he's a lot faster than Errol Spence Jr., like a lot faster. Not even like sort of, kind of, like a whole lot faster, to where I think his speed and his movement and his angles can mitigate a lot of the offense that Spence is going to try to throw at him. So that's how I see this fight. I think this is a great fight. And like I said in the beginning of the video, I would really love to see Manny reinstated, a champion, no longer in recess. That's what I would like to see. 3-belt unification, so that way the winner can fight Terrence Crawford for undisputed, assuming that Terrence beats his next opponent, whomever that may be. Let me know what y'all think in the comment section. I'm sorry for yawning on y'all. I'm still waking up, driving in the car, going to work. But y'all have a good rest of y'all's day. And to all my new subs, I really do appreciate y'all subbing to my channel. And again, y'all have a good day. Hit up the comment section. Don't forget, hit the thumbs up, sub, hit the notification bell. I forgot to say that at the beginning. Thank y'all again for watching. I really do appreciate it.